Hi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy Thursday evening to join me. I really do appreciate that. And also, I had a really good joke that I was going to open up with, but I forgot. So, at the risk of looking even more stupid than I already do sometimes, we'll just go ahead and call that an 86 on that one. Man, it was good too, I promise. Anyways, hope that you guys are doing well. Tonight I want to talk about how, the government is doing a wonderful job. Oh, there, I had it now. Anyways, I guess it doesn't matter, so I'll look for some other place to insert my, I'm sure, hysterical joke later on in the video. Anyways, that's if I can remember it for even that long. Anyways, so recently, you guys may have heard that this guy named Donald Jason Trump, or whatever his middle name is, John Jacob, anyways, that guy, right? So, that guy is currently our president. That's where we're sitting, amongst being, one of the most prolific criminals in the history of all career politicians, which is saying something, because typically those boys give you a run for your money, you know? I mean, usually those are the guys that are committing the highest of all crimes, even though, ironically, they're supposed to be looking out for all of us, you know? And so, shout out to Project 2025, which is an absolute joke. I would rather read the phone book cover to cover than I would absolutely have anything to do with Project 2025. But actually, that's why we're here, right? That's why the president is sitting where he is now, and that's why he has all this cool power. That's why some 40-year-old millennial who has a weird and worse cringe-more looking beard than I do is our vice president, who, by the way, was completely funded by Peter Thiel. So he is a product of Mr. Thiel, who we've described to on this program before as being, sort of like very, much in common with like bacteria or amoeba, single cell living organisms. That might be wrong. I could be just very stupid for just saying that joke because I'm not sure those are single celled organisms. I just know that I'm smarter than Peter Thiel, that's for sure. But then again, any sentient human being who begins to open their mouth at the age of like 6 months is smarter than that guy. Anyway, so that guy is responsible for putting Mr. Vance into office. So shout out to all the billionaires out there who personally bankroll politicians' careers. Tell it like coming from somebody who is very much grassroots and obviously very much publicly a social capitalist. I just find it interesting that these guys are trying to do, the dirt work and they gotta pay for all of that, What I do is free. It's called having a brain, some common sense, and, being likable at some point. These are things that not J.D. Vance or Donald Trump are good at. Anyways, Project 2025, that's what, kind of what we're talking about as it concerns their playbook. If you're not familiar with it, continue to be unfamiliar with it. It's not anything that'll enlighten you or make you any more looking forward to anything positive so far as outcomes are concerned in this country, be it political, domestic, foreign. These guys are coming and, trying to ransack the government. These guys are stripping down absolutely everything. And so it starts just a couple days ago with the announcement that complete violation of law, right? So Donald Trump cancels the union contract with TSA. And so, and moreover, Donald Trump has issued an executive order stipulating that all federal employment is no longer eligible for union membership. And so, again, despite being a prolific criminal, as we've addressed before, because obviously that's what is called, committing a crime, you break the law or whatever, and very much so the man has explicitly done just that. And so hopefully the courts will be able to uphold the law because that's kind of their job, is to uphold the law. And at least when we challenge the law, it should be by the people and not by the president. And I dare say if it were from the president, it would have to be on behalf of the people. And in this case, that's certainly not what happened. And so if you're unfamiliar or you're a viewer that was not alive yet during 9/11, I gotta tell you, I was sitting in my 8th grade social studies class, maybe literature class with Mr. Reynolds, when I heard the news about that particular, event, and everyone got pulled out of school. Very tragic, obviously very tragic. Anytime a life is lost, that's tragic. All right. Moreover, anytime a multitude of lives are lost, it's something that we should all be so concerned about addressing, be it that a third world country where children die of starvation as a result of the raw extraction and overexploitation of the local populations, or the people that are being relocated as a result of some maniacal religious scheme set out by the Israeli government to occupy territory that is not theirs. I mean, any of these things, right? Like, death in and of itself, crime, violence, these things are not good. They're not good for economies. It's not good for business. It's not good for people. I mean, most importantly, it's not good for people. And so I just feel like, making it so that the government isn't going to allow unions or is trying to dissolve the TSA contract, that's not good, because after 9/11 we needed security. We needed federal leadership, and unironically, George Walker Bush, was this is probably the only good thing that's come out of the Patriot Act. If there has anything good come out of the Patriot Act as a result of 9/11, it would be the TSA, the Transportation Security Agency. Listen, I don't know if you guys have been on a plane, and since that has happened in this country, right? But it is nice knowing that when you go to the airport, there's federal representation there. They're not ops, they're not undercover. These guys are clearly identifiable, and not to mention all the undercover and the ops there, right? But I'm just saying that for the casual everyday person, when you go to the international airport, wherever your region or your local municipality airport is, you have a federal presence there. That makes us feel safe. Ergo, it should be something that we continue to implement in a good kind of a way to better efficiency, so that Americans can continue to travel ever so freely within our country and our borders and stuff. And that doesn't even count all the people that come and are a part, like tourists here and stuff like that, or international flights and things of this nature. I mean, the Transportation Security Agency is probably an example of the only group of people on this earth that I feel comfortable knowing that I could possibly be just feeling a little more violated, if that was ever at all possible, than I already am when I go through a security checkpoint at the airport. You feel me? I mean, again, constitutional right or not, officer, you are in fact a member of the federal government, and I mean, just so much is that's why it's important, to respect the laws of specifically federal places, right? Like the post office, things like this, like where there's a federal presence. These places should be the safest of all of the places, because there's a vested interest in compromising security amongst people that aren't about this country or whatever and want to do bad stuff to us. You feel me? It happens. 9/11 happened. And I'm not a fear-mongering kind of a guy. For the record, talking about things that create fear or stir up a kind of sense of uncertainty or awkwardness, typically that's not my forte, right? I'm not the guy arguing on behalf of more security, things of this nature and stuff, but I've done enough traveling, and I've done enough people watching, and enough watching of that show where Customs steals all the packages that are illegal. This is more than a full-time job that TSA is responsible for. And if the government is allowed to privatize security services at domestic airports here in America, I will be the first person to never ride a plane again. I'm sure millions of other people feel like that. And it's just, it sucks because this is almost going on a century of flight where, 100 years ago when it first started, people may have thought correctly that planes would be super accessible and easy to ride and very cheap, and none of those things have come to fruition. Trains are still around, but planes are very expensive to ride. Not a lot of people, I think, we don't talk about that a lot, right? Like, everyone knows about airports, everyone's been on a plane once or twice, but do you guys realize that this is the common choice of transportation for rich people? I mean, like, planes in and of themselves are great, pieces of technology. They get you to a destination that's pretty far from you in a relatively quick, like, short amount of time and pretty safely. These are the benefits of aeronautical, inventions in the 21st century. And we should all be so lucky, right? But the fact that, like, now we're in a world where we could, in fact, be put in a situation where Project 2025 or whatever the boomers have like labeled this, I'm sure, artificial intelligence, chat GPT generated, what manifesto of what's going to happen and so forth. I mean, give it to Trump for actually learning how to read, I guess, for knowing how to read from the last term to now and being able, I mean, although I can't even say that, right? Because he probably just has people telling him what to say. I'm not sure if he does any actual reading. But hey, these things happen when you're approaching the age of 90, 80, or however, whatever. We live in a boomer world. Deal with it. Anyways, don't dissolve the TSA, Mr. President, all right? Congress, Senate, Supreme Court, please stop complying or, stop being complicit with criminal behavior and do your freaking jobs, which is to make sure that all of us are safe and that we are allowed to continue to conduct our business in a way that, continues to make you money, to enrich you so that you can fund militaries and, terrorists or whoever it is, wherever the money goes. It doesn't really matter. Just leave people alone, right? That's all that I'm saying, and let them feel safe and don't do things that harm them. And again, this is a classic example of how this particular administration is going to be responsible for making now the skies above all of the city streets here in our country that much unsafe. So, thank you, President Trump. You have by far done the absolute least, and you are an absolute criminal. And I'm not just saying that, I mean, these are, that's what it is, You broke a law. It makes you a criminal. You're not supposed to just dissolve or tear up contracts. This is going against all of the very things that this country stands by, which actually, are sometimes very good things. And in this case, the TSA makes sure we're all safe in the skies. It's a federally regulated agency, and it's something that we absolutely need. And no private company is going to provide a better service. All right? That's just another third-party excuse. Let the people that are responsible for our safety continue to look out for our safety. And those people are the government, all right? The people that make up the government. They are responsible, so let's let them continue to do their jobs, all right? I hope that you guys have a really good night. Thanks for watching my show. Hey, listen, break character. Link in the description below. There's a lot more, there's like way smarter people out there that talk about these things. You feel me? I just kind of pick up on them throughout my day, so I'm kind of listening to stuff, and it really is upsetting that the TSA might be dissolved and that the federal government is attacking the very sort of transportation system that shouldn't not only not be attacked, but should be improved so that flights are cheaper, people can continue to travel, people that have never been on a plane, like poor people that are stuck at work all of their lives, they can have the opportunity to enjoy a piece of technology that is I just feel like is way underutilized. It really is. How many people do you guys know? Working class, normal people, right, that have never been on a plane. They've never been on a flight in their life. And it's sort of like, well, okay, cool. You don't have to have gone on a plane, I guess. Safer for you. You're staying on the ground. But it is an experience, and it is, I dare say, like even communal building, in that you begin to realize that things aren't very far from each other, and you can kind of meet new people and learn different things and see new different experiences. You do all these different things that you otherwise ordinarily would just simply not be able to do, because it does take a long time to travel by train, or drive places with your car and stuff. So I hope the TSA doesn't get dissolved, and I hope that that criminal act again, the crime that was committed recently, just tearing up the contracts with the unions and stuff. I hope that's addressed properly and dutifully as it needs to be in court, because I don't care who you are, right? The president, or it doesn't matter. Like, we have laws for this very reason, and we should be all thanking somebody up there, or thanking somebody, that we have in fact robust enough laws to sort of deal with the kind of attacks that are currently being made on our political system. So shout out to all the people out there who are making sure that we are in fact doing what we need to do as constituents, and standing up for our rights, standing up for those people around us that have not the opportunity to do so because of different circumstances in their life. Birds to all the haters out there, especially those that have a vested interest in exploiting and maintaining a kind of systemic quo, or it's a bad thing. So I hope that you guys are doing well. Thanks for watching my show. My name is Albert. This was Vlogs About Nothing, and we'll talk to everyone tomorrow. Bye.